Tonight, we are talking about the distance learning, homeschooling, parent and teacher hair pulling experience of educating kids during a pandemic. Live from the Burbs starts
now.
Like the lady said, now. Good evening and happy Saturday to everyone.
Good evening, good evening. Hello.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. coming to you live on our mid-weekend flow. And hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's energized or rested or whatever you need to be. Hope this weekend is doing it for you. One of the things that we get to rest and recover from is having our kids at home and schooling them. We are now taking on the role. Well, this is the principal and the teacher of like most of the subject classes. I'm like a substitute teacher / janitor / lunch man, lady sometimes.
Don't even know his roles.
But having your kids home, first off, I think we appreciate the educators so much more.
We do.
Realizing what kind of work they put in, because it is not easy.
Yes.
The preparation, before you even get in front of the kids, the getting ready for the kids, the structure and everything, the what needs to happen when and who needs to be where. It's like it's elaborate. It's a lot.
It's a lot to go on. It's a lot of scheduling, everything. So we're going to talk about that tonight and hopefully bring some clarity and maybe talk about some subjects you guys have been struggling with too. So remember to comment, like this page, and let's talk. Let's further the conversation.
Absolutely. Likes and comments. We want to thank everyone who has followed us and liked things and commented and sent messages, even the crazy messages.
We love all messages.
We welcome them all. But tonight we have a wonderful group of guests.
Yes, we do.
Awesome panel. We're going to bring them on without any further ado. So first, we have an administrator, parent, humorist, classmate of mine once upon a time, Mr. Kalfani, sorry. Kafeli.
What's
how
up?
Are you, sir?
I'm good. Hello,
Welcome
hello.
to the program. It is great to see you.
Good to be seen.
We also have joining us this evening, educator, podcaster, and mentor. And you got a quick glimpse, if you checked us out last night, of this gentleman doing his thing against a similar background, Mr. Ben Green. Ben, welcome to the program. Welcome back.
Glad to be back again. Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
Wow.
Yes, and last,
esteemed colleagues.
Absolutely not least, we have esteemed colleagues. And speaking of esteemed colleagues, we have an educator, multidisciplinary artist, involved auntie. This is her second stint on the program as well. She's an awesome guest, and we wanted to have her back, and she's back.
Yay.
Miss Coley Aziza. Coley,
Yes.
welcome back to the program.
Hello.
Glad to be back.
It's kind of a streaming thing.
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's great to see you all. I'm going to start off by asking you, how are you making out in the midst of this madness that is 2020? How are you doing? Coley, we'll start with you.
If you were paying attention, I took a deep breath. I took a deep breath.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm making out. I'm very blessed. I'll say that. Well, one of the things for me is I'm a consultant in the school system that I work in. So what I do, I've taught for years in the classroom, but what I do is I go into the classroom now for students who are mainstreamed, who've been identified as having learning needs. So I go in and observe them, and I consult with their teachers, and I also work with them in small groups. But I manage their IEPs, which, if you know anything about special education, it's their individualized education plan. So now what I have to do, because I usually visit schools, and I really just sit down to the computer at the end of the day and do my paperwork. So most of my stuff is I'm moving. I'm always moving. I'm moving here, then going to another school. I'm working with the teachers, talking to the students, working with students. Now I am in front of the computer the whole day. And I tell you, by the time 12 o'clock rolls around, I feel like it's 5. Because I'm not moving like I'm usually moving, and I'm just sitting there. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I asked Ben if he was raising his hand. He looked
No.
raising his hand. I'm sorry.
So that's been a challenge for me, and I've had to make myself take breaks, because I'm just basically going in and out of Zoom rooms, and then in between that, writing up the notes that I need to give to the teachers on what I think they could use, different techniques they could use to help the students, making materials for the students that I'm mailing out to their parents, or I'm calling their parents or emailing their parents. So it's different. It's different. I mean, I'm glad that we are doing the distance learning to a certain extent, because I know that right now it may not be safe for all of us to be there. I'm hoping that we will get to go into school this year, because I have to test some students, and I really don't think those tests will be reliable and valid online, because I think their parents will give them the answers. Because I work with 4 and 5-year-olds. And
do we do that?
No.
No,
And
I think
when she's not looking, I do it.
it's not fair to the students really to test them, online. So it's challenging.
You're accustomed to dealing with situations like this. You talked about Zoom, and you got students like myself and Ben cutting up already. Not your turn yet, Ben. I thought you were raising your hand. Kafela, we're gonna go to you, sir. You are a university administrator. Yeah.
Mhm.
How have things been, man? Well, first off, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good? Are you level?
I'm good. Yes. So, I was joking like before, when you have a hard day, you're like, I'm going home. And now you're like, I'm having a hard day. I'm like, I'm going to my room to be able to deal with this.
You realize you're already there.
Yeah, because it's like you're here. So, and it's been funny because it's honestly, I think, absolutely working more than I've worked before, because now, you can go in from one meeting to the next meeting immediately. There's no downtime. There's no walking from the conference room to the next conference room or back to your office or any of that. So, there's a lot more work. There's significantly more stress from the students, from the other administrators, from everything. So dealing with traditional stress in addition to a pandemic, and if students test positive, if somebody in their family tests positive, loss of job, decrease in hours, increase expectations. There's all of these things that our students are dealing with. Distance learning is difficult. Distance learning across time zones is also difficult. So, if I'm meeting with a student who's in China, I'm meeting with them in the afternoon and it's morning, like 1, 2 in the morning. So folks staying up late to have a meeting, or trying to be in class, if you're in China, if you're in India, United States, we can deal with, it's 3 hours. But once you leave that, or even you get to Hawaii, that time difference starts to be drastic. So really trying to manage all of that in a learning environment that's distance. So, being on Zoom, or whatever, we use Zoom. So, but the Zoom fatigue is real. It's super real. So it's sort of like, because it's like, what's worse, 3 hours or? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
You're talking about your day.
Yeah.
Your day sounds like mine. I don't do the same kind of work you do, but it's like those expectations of it's meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. People always expect you're going to pick up or answer like immediately. I know you're there. So, so it's like
answer the phone.
Home and work have just they're all over each other. We'll talk more about that. Ben, how are things for you? How have things been for you?
So I am a combination of what Aziza's doing. I used to be in the classroom when the whole COVID began. I was working in one school, and I work for an educational system services. It's called Catapult. And what I do is I go into the school and I have grades from kindergarten to eighth grade. But I take them K to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 and 8. And I would go into the classroom and I would pull out. Now, usually younger kids, if I had second graders, depending on what's what, I would push in and I'd go into the classroom, find out what they're working on. And like if a child has to read, I'd sit there and make sure they're reading the words they don't understand, break it down for them, help them to break down to understand the word. So I was a push and pull out. Then March came, COVID hit. Now, I've been blessed. In 2010, I started my master's degree for education. I got my undergraduate in history, Afro-American studies. But I'm a techie. But, what I was taught how to do what we're doing now, how to learn from lessons online, how to teach from the software online with students. So since 2011, when I went to get my graduation and everything, I've been waiting, but I've been telling my colleagues, you know that since students are going to be taking tests, eventually they're going to be doing some classrooms online. And teachers were like, oh, just get out of here. I'm going, no, you need to learn this because when the time comes and it hits you, they're going to look at you and go, what can you do? If you can't handle it, you just might be gone. So I said, get with it. 2012, 2013. Here we are, 2020. And when it came, I was like, I'm ready.
2020.
And I adapted. And people were like, what? I'm like, I told you. And I told my kids.
Well, I have a quick question. As educators that you guys are that help children with IEPs, do you feel like the children that have IEPs or is getting special education are getting what they need out of online schooling? Are they able to keep up? They had trouble keeping up in class. That's why they got the IEP. Do you feel that they're able to keep on with the online demands? Or do you feel that those kids may be getting left behind?
I think from my perspective, like Aziza, I handle kids with services. They have special title services, 192, 193, that, either is math, ELA. And since I am in school and I do online, the students who really need that person-to-person, in-person, face-to-face type work, a lot of them lose that immediacy that we can't grasp through the media or the technology. So I feel a lot of them, it's a 50-50, and some it's a 60-40, where 40% is they're picking up and they're losing 60%.
So I would say it just depends upon the student, because I have some students that are thriving,
right,
and I have others that are not. So it just depends on their learning style. Even though they have their learning needs, it depends upon their learning style. So I had one student last year who would literally turn his back to the teacher in the classroom when she would read, or when she was reading in front of the class, he would turn his back. And we would think that he wouldn't get any information, but he would get some. He wouldn't lose everything. But when they started the distance learning, he was right there focused and got everything. So I think it just really depends upon the specific child's learning needs. I would say most of my children are doing pretty well. And I counted yesterday because I just had another student added. I have about, I believe it's maybe 19 students right now that I go and see in different schools. And it's maybe 3 or 4 out of those students that are kind of struggling right now. Yeah.
So this situation has been very fluid with this pandemic and different decisions being made about it. So Kafeli, your university recently made the decision to go all virtual. I think that recent, as of soon, right?
Monday.
What goes on behind the scenes? Monday. What goes on behind the scenes when an institution makes that kind of decision?
Luckily, I don't have to sit through that meeting, but they're meeting consistent meetings. There are so many meetings and acronyms that are going around right now. You can't keep track that are going. But essentially, based off what's happening, they're consistently looking at reports. They're consistently looking at collecting data, doing research, and sort of making those decisions to inform their practice. So, I mean, and I'm at we have top researchers, we have hospital within our system. So, there's a lot of information coming in. We have the ability to do testing and all of that stuff. I mean, we literally test wastewater to find out when someone has COVID. So we can, figure out when it hit the sensor, from where, and then everybody in that area gets like an email to go get tested. And so, you can stay up on top of it. So we've been doing a lot of that, but the numbers have been rising so much that, even if we could probably manage it, it's just in our best interest, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, that people want to go home, that they might get exposed, that they might become a little bit more lax in their responsibility with masking and doing all the things that they want to do. So we were just like, I think the decision was made that out of an abundance of caution, you can go home and you can stay home. And we had been talking about that earlier for people to do that, because Thanksgiving's a big travel holiday. That's one of those holidays that crosses across all borders, all religions, especially in America. And we only have a few more weeks of class after this anyway. Some schools had already demarked that after they were done at Thanksgiving. But we made the decision to say we're just going to go pretty much fully remote after that holiday. So
that's a really, it's a thought-provoking decision, because it's the biggest travel holiday, so people are gonna go back to everywhere they were from and mix it up with all kinds of people and bring it back. This unbelievable. What's
definitely different.
So what is the biggest adjustment that you've had to make in terms of how you fulfill this important work that you do for these kids? Coley, we'll start with you with that.
What is my biggest adjustment? I think, going back to what Ben was saying, having that, especially for the age group that I work with, I'm pre-K, so it's 4-year-olds that are turning 5. Having that hands-on learning experience. I mean, that's the way most of these children learn. I mean, and that's what pre-K is about, having centers. 80% of the time, they're supposed to be in centers. They're not supposed to be sitting in front of the teacher, just listening to the teacher. They're learning through exploration. They're learning with each other through play. So that is like trying to make whatever you do with them fun and exciting. And I do some one-on-ones with them, especially with the students that I feel that need more time. And so I have to try to find things that I think, is exciting for them, that they'll pay attention and want to see me again, because they might say, and then of course giving the teachers ideas as well of what they could do. So that's quite challenging. But you have to be creative, and that's what being an educator is all about. So
exactly.
Absolutely.
I get a chance. What I love is I take my radio show into the classroom. But, I know my audience. I know 2nd grade. I know 3rd grade. I know 8th grade. So I know my approach is different on every level. And I have to approach the students at an entirely different level. Sometimes they don't know. I'm interviewing them. I'm trying to figure out, what do you watch on TV? What do you like to do outside of school? And I use that when they write and everything else. So what I do is, I make it fun. Hey, we're reading a story about, this girl who writes this diary. Have you ever written a diary? What's a diary? And I act like, oh, Mr. Green taking his brain out. Oh, and they look at me and I go, what's your name? Oh yeah, somebody told me about you. And I get them to participate. See, I trick them. I don't say, what's the answer? No, you got to get them involved. If you don't get students involved, especially online, because they're like, oh, me next? Oh, okay, I'm going to get to you. And in my mind, I'm going, gotcha. I'm bringing you in. Just like I think about the video games. I tell kids, your work, this is nothing but a video game. once you get past the first level, if you don't learn what you did on the first level, you're not going to survive in the second level. So you got to make it challenging.
Preach.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Can I just say one more thing? I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because so with the little ones, one of the things I do in the visits with them is have them share something that they have in their home, especially our children especially my children that are having problems with speech, language, getting them to talk about. And so I could just kind of try to make up something or ask them, whatever from my frame of reference, from my experience, but I get them to share things that they have in their house, toys that they have in their house. And you'd be amazed at the language you get out of them, because like Ben said, this is from their experience, their personal experience. So that in a way is a glass half full thing that is happening during this time, because you can really get them in their home and their environment, their natural environment, to begin talking about things that they love and that is meaningful to them.
Now, Kafeli, we were talking earlier about different generations, and you and I went to school literally together, and we got like Ben who came before us and folks who came after us. We went to our son's high school graduation this year, and as we're thinking about these kids were born into 9/11, and now they're graduating. They're graduating in a parking lot. Well, it was a drive-in theater.
A drive-in movie theater.
A drive-in movie theater.
Yeah.
This generation is dealing with a world unlike anything we ever had to deal with. How do you think that's going to affect them, how they operate when they're the grown-ups, when they're the parents and the teachers?
Well, I mean, I always look at everything as an opportunity to learn from and to grow, and that some of the things that we have taken for granted, hopefully they will not, because I mean, this is an opportunity to change how we educate folks, because again, it doesn't work for everybody, but it does work for some. And how do we sort of make it so that we can sort of capitalize on that? This is going to probably change how we work. So their future is going to be significantly different, depending on the work that you're doing, because some stuff we have found that I don't need to be in person to do this. So their workforce is going to look very different. Hopefully our healthcare will start to look a little bit different. How we sort of, in different industries are going to be very different, moving forward. So I think there's a lot that we can sort of take from this, and to grow. I think they will probably learn to appreciate each other a little bit more than we used to, because I think at this point we are all starving for human contact, and interaction and engagement with others. So all of that stuff is going to have an impact on where folks go from here, and how this sort of generation is, views things. There may be some, because there's a lot of things, unfortunately, that they've been missing out on. Anybody who's graduated in the last 2 years, they're missing out on that quote unquote experience. Coming out of high school, you probably miss prom, miss summer. There's a lot of things missed.
She started kindergarten, and she's never been.
She's never been into it, right? So we homeschooled them from the beginning, from birth. So her first intro to school would be kindergarten at our level, but to now have to do kindergarten from home after doing preschool from home, it is definitely a lot challenging. We had our first reading exam via Zoom for her, which was weird in a way, because she's not holding a book, right? And she's like, all right. And she did very well, and I was very proud of her, but it was kind of tense as a parent. Certain things I didn't need to be present for. So I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting on bated breath as she's reading these words. And hopefully I'm not giving her the stress that I'm holding. But she did very well. I'm very proud of her nonetheless. But to have a kid, like you said, that graduated high school, who was going into college, who felt like, I didn't want to go into college because of COVID, and I didn't want to start home college like my previous daughter, who is now in her 5th year. She graduated last year with her nursing degree, but she went back trying to get her master's So now doing that from home and praying every day that she wants to return to school because there's certain things that she has to do hands on in the nursing field and not knowing where that's going to lead next. And then having a kid who's going into high school, not understanding, do I stay home this year and try to do it next year? Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? And as a parent, not knowing really what to tell them, like suck it up and just do it because you're going to have to do it this way, or can it be waited out? Not really understanding what to tell them.
I want to pick up on something Kafeli said, taking for granted. Coley, Ben, what things have you realized that you may have taken for granted in how this education interaction used to go versus now? I'm realizing things that I missed. I missed my commute, and my commute was horrendous, but I miss it because I don't get that anymore. I wake up, I'm at work. I go to sleep. I wake up again, I'm still at work. What things have you realized that you've taken for granted? Coley, we'll start with you.
I think the driving from school to school, I think I actually really need that time to sort of like decompress. And now I don't have that time. So I have, like I said, I have to give myself a break sometimes. I have to say, okay, I've been on here too long. I've been in 3 classrooms virtually. I need to, just give myself a little break. So I do miss that time. And it also gives me time to think. While I'm driving. The other piece that I really miss is communicating with my colleagues, because now I have to do it all by email, and you can do a Zoom, but they're in class all day. So I have to communicate with the teachers pretty much via email. When they're free, they can contact me, or I have some teachers' phone numbers and I can text them. Things get lost in translation when you're writing.
The informal interaction is
right.
something that I think. So you don't run into anybody in the hallway. You can't you have coffee. It's
right.
like the only time you talk to people, it's we're in this meeting. We're talking about.
Right.
Like, you just run it like, hey, I'm grabbing a sandwich. You want to chat for a while we? No more of that. Ben, what the same question? What
I'm sort of fortunate. Monday through Thursday, I commute. It's a shorter commute from my other job I had, where the commute was much longer. I miss listening to my jams in the car as you drive. And like Carly said, you get your brain together. Okay, who do I have today? How do I want to approach them? What I want to teach them? Because, I'm jamming in, Sirius XM, or I have a CD player where I had my jams in there to get me going. You missed it. But on Fridays,
my kid look at me like, what?
I know. CD, what's that?
The CD player.
That is download and play off my phone and go, oh yeah, I
play movies on.
VHS. Man, let's go back. But no, seriously.
I have a question for all 3 of you. In all seriousness, we talk about how you guys feel as individuals not connecting with your coworkers and everything else. What kind of platform, or what do you think that we can start to build for our children? Like I said, going into kindergarten, not having any friends, wanting to make friends. These kids are unable to socialize in this network of online schooling. How do we get our kids to connect during this time and make new friends? And a lot of the teachers, we have 2 8th graders, although they know a lot of their classmates, but the new ones they don't know, and they don't really get that time to interact because teacher says, hey, no talking during the live, no talking during class, and then once it's over, we're cutting that feed. So that time for those children to converse and to interact have been stopped because of, one, they didn't want bullying to happen, right? And then the other was there's just not enough time in the day. Teacher got to get to the next class for the A day, B day, whichever day they're doing. Do you think they will have some kind of platform, or could a platform be created for the children to have a network to socialize with each other during this quarantine time?
I mean, for me, I think that just like the responsible parent, and like you guys are, you homeschooled your kids and you prepared them for going to school outside of home, okay? So when they got to school, oh, just like being home, but it's a little different, and you explain that to them. I think now this new generation, parents have to sit down and go, okay, this is your computer, or this is your tablet, or this is a phone. You're going to be, we call talking and learning this way until you can. It's not going to be like at home where I'm here with you. This is going to be your face to face, and the child has to take it, learn it, and adapt to it so that they can create those come-togethers outside of school what they can't do in school, especially the higher grades. But the younger ones, I want to play. Yeah, you can play with Tommy on a computer, and you can chat with them. He'll see you. You can make faces. Unfortunately, it's going to be that way. And
they
then
don't even give them room to do that. I hope that the schools do find a chat hour or a chat minute for the kids somewhere,
Recess.
or
Well,
for the younger kids. Yeah, because
recess. Ooh,
they're
there is
in
no.
the classroom with these 12, 13 kids, and there's no time for the kids to communicate just amongst the children. And
Right.
and I know that's important for kids to make those connections socially. When growing up from kindergarten, pre-K, and on, like those interactions are critical to their socialization skills.
Right.
I've seen it in the pre-K. I've seen pre-K teachers doing it because that's a huge part of what we're supposed to do. Like I said, they're supposed to be 80% of the time, they're supposed to be in centers. So I've definitely seen the teachers doing that, which I was really, there was 1 week. So I go in every week, but it's like, I went in 1 week and the children were not speaking to each other. And then the following week, because I don't go in every day to each class, they were yelling, hey, so-and-so. And I was like, isn't this, they were all talking amongst each other because the teachers were leaving that time for them. And I said, isn't this amazing how the human spirit is, that even in this Zoom room, they're finding each other, they're learning each other's names because the teachers are going over their names and the teachers are modeling for them how to communicate with one another. And, they're modeling with each other, and they're modeling with the students. And so I was like, this is so wonderful. I was really excited about that, to see the children doing that. Really excited.
That's a blessing that you have teachers that are doing that. I think I will ask our teachers, because they do not put in that extra few minutes for the children to socialize with each other. And I really think it's necessary. Even though we have a big family, they socialize a lot at home, but it's really nice to have them build those outside socializing skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think as children get older, we forget stuff like that. I think as children get older, teachers stop working on those social skills, and they still need to. Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely do.
Absolutely. So as we move into 2021, think some things are hopefully going to change or get better or be different or something.
Something's going to happen, whether we're ready for it or not.
Okay, so one word. What do you think we have to look? What do you think 2021 is going to be in one word? Your educators, your well-schooled people. I'm going to start with Kafeli.
That's like, thanks. Mine is vaccine. And that's the one hope that we have. But the vaccine is only going to half solve the problem, because one, getting it out to everyone is going to be a Herculean task. One of them, has to be kept at like sub-zero temperatures. So how are we going to sort of manage that? You also have people who won't take a vaccine. So how do you manage that? And then determining who's going, like the order upon which people are going to get it, So, but I think there's at least that hope of having that to sort of tamp down on this, and us hopefully getting back to whatever our new version of life is going to look like. So,
Ben, one word, 2021. Take us into the crystal ball.
Adjustments. Because I think we're going to have to unlearn and learn again, a part of our adjustments. The whole mask thing, we're still going to have to do that until, like I said, until we get the I can't even think now. What do you call it again?
The herd immunity or the vaccine?
Oh no, don't say herd immunity. Vaccine.
Okay.
That's a whole, that's a whole different show. That mentality. Come on, everybody, come get it. No. Yeah, the vaccine. it's like once you get it, you got to learn how to adjust to it in your system. And we have to figure out, you got to be able to know, okay, am I good? And then, you go do your daily life. If something doesn't work out, we got to figure it out. And you got to tell the doctor, wherever you got the vaccine. And before you get the second one, Yeah. So it's going to be a good adjustment. Then once you get it, it's like, when you're dirty, what happens once you're dirty? You take a shower, you clean yourself. Now you can be careful where you go because you don't want to get dirty again. So once I am clean, I got to stay away from something that's going to infect me again because I don't want to go through that again. So that adjustment I see for 2021.
Good one. Coley.
Okay, so I'm going to say innovation. Glass half full. I'm going to say innovation because a lot of the things that we're talking about, we're going to have to find ways to solve the problems. So innovation in creating apps and innovation in creating, like you said, that the teachers leave that space for the children that they weren't even thinking about doing before because it's just like, let's get the work done, let's get the work done. So just innovation.
Yes.
Mhm.
Be innovative.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank all three of you for being fantastic guests and informative, insightful guests. It's great to see you guys. It's great to talk to you, even though, we miss that human contact. This is one of the means by which we feed that need. So it's really lovely spending some time with all of you. And thank you so much for what you do and all you will do 2020 and beyond.
Hey,
That's it for us. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the flip.
Thank you.
Everyone.